What is up, crypto peeps? Hope you guys are having a good Monday. Again, that is probably the biggest oxymoron in the history of oxymorons. However, let's just get right into it. So market cap currently sits at around 470 billion. That's a few percentage points up from the last few days, certainly up from the last week. What is interesting here is Bitcoin dominance continues to be a major factor, increasing steadily. It's currently at around 42%. That is not so surprising. We did do a video on the comparison between the Bitcoin season and altcoin season and what we saw last year in comparison to what is going on right now. Go ahead and check that out. I'll leave it somewhere here somewhere. So go ahead and check that out. Bitcoin currently sits at $11,534. It's up 12% over the last week, about 2.2% over the last 24 hours. Ethereum continues to stagnate. We're at 860. That's been around the same level that it's been over the last week or so. The big news here obviously is Ripple. Ripple's up almost 9% just over the last day. We did send out a trade alert for Ripple just as the news broke that Ripple's CEO and Coinbase's president are meeting on CNBC's Fast Money tomorrow. Today's Monday, so tomorrow's Tuesday. So they will be on CNBC's Fast Money. A lot of people obviously are speculating that there would be no reason for them to meet jointly in public unless they're announcing something big. They might or they might not. In my estimation, I feel that, I mean, this is on CNBC's website as well, and they're going to be meeting on CNBC. So if there was absolutely no truth to them partnering up, or at least truth to Coinbase adopting Ripple, then that would have already they would have already came out and explicitly said, no guys, don't set your expectations too high. That's not what's happening. We're just going to be talking about certain projects or the state of cryptocurrency. So they are leaving people hanging in the balance. In terms of the price of Ripple before the announcement and the prospect of trading it or investing in it, it's a low risk investment at the prices that it was at before the announcement. We were at a steady decline. You see this downtrend resistance line here, and we weren't sharply declining or crashing by any stretch of the imagination. The volume was pretty low. This is the 2-hour chart, but even if you take a look at something like the 4-hour chart, you'll see that in general, up until yesterday, the volume was fairly low. MACD was moving sideways. There wasn't really anything remarkable happening. So, Ripple was cheap enough to invest in long term, and you didn't really have to worry about it crashing. Obviously, you set your stop losses diligently and up to your risk profile, but there wasn't really anything to worry about with regards to Ripple. You could have, put your money in it and just held long term. Now, what we do see as a result of the announcement, here's the steady downtrend line, right? It was on a downtrend the entire time since this is back beginning of January, since we had that bull run, and then beginning of January, it just was on a steady decline. You see this breakout point here, and the reason that I have these magenta circles around these points here is because we have triple confirmation that Ripple is currently in a bullish cycle. So we did break the downtrend resistance line on the 4-hour and the 2-hour chart. You see this volume coming in. This is expectedly as a result of the announcement that that both of those gentlemen would be appearing on CNBC tomorrow. You do see the convergence in the MACD and the blue line start to rise above the orange line. Again, that's the 12 and the 26. So we are seeing triple confirmation. I'm sure if we did more analysis on this, like if you did a fib retracement as well as some other indicators, you would even get more points of confirmation that we are currently in a reversal towards a trend reversal, right? So if we look at the 1-day chart, this is even confirmed here. So this is a more longer term increment, obviously, as opposed to the 2-hour or 4-hour. The only thing here is we don't yet have confirmation that we are breaking this downtrend resistance on the 1-day chart. So it looks like that you see the wick rising above it, but today obviously hasn't closed yet. So we want to see what that looks like in the long term. This candle right here, this big green candle, is a bullish candle, right? Because you do have this downtrend, and then suddenly you have this big engulfing green candle here that is definitely, we haven't seen since the beginning of February. So this does signify a shift in trend, but you know, you do have to wait for market confirmation, because if you see this big green engulfing candle here followed by this one, you know, if you didn't have all these candles in advance and say we were at this point in time right here, you would say, oh wow, we are definitely in a bullish reversal and we are going to continue upward. But no, the market does you know, operate on its own and doesn't really care about your analysis or your feelings. However, the best way obviously to trade is to have entry and exit strategies so you don't get burned. So, you know, all these people that are making these wild predictions about Tron or Ripple or Bitcoin even, I mean, that they're just shooting themselves in the foot. Nobody knows the extent of a trend, right? You can spot trends. You can't have any advanced knowledge about the extent, saying, oh, something is going to be X amount of dollars on a certain date. That just doesn't exist. So anyway, yeah, I would like to see what happens with this candle if we can break above this downtrend resistance line. And we might not, you know, we might not see that confirmation until tomorrow if and when good news breaks out. But we do see this nice big green volume bar that we haven't seen since the beginning of February. You do see that the MACD is starting to converge, right? It hasn't yet on this longer term 1 day increment. You do see the RSI climbing as well. One thing to note about the RSI, and we don't have a lot of history with Ripple, right? On this what exchange is this? I think this is Binance. On this exchange, you'll see that, you know, Ripple only goes back to November 2017. So, however, one thing to note is that when Ripple has hit an oversold level, it has climbed to an overbought level. We hit an oversold level here a couple days ago. So we are expecting this trend to continue. Obviously, we don't have a lot of data, so I can't say that that is a confirmed trend or a trend that I have a lot of confidence in, but it is one thing to note as well. In terms of other altcoins, again, check out the video that I did on the relationship between altcoins and Bitcoin, but we are seeing with most of the well-known altcoins, we are seeing the same trend, right? This is on the daily chart. This is Verge. You have this steady downtrend resistance here. You see that the MACD is trading sideways, or the MACD is trending sideways. The RSI, same thing, really nothing remarkable. Here is Cardano. It almost looks like a lot of these altcoins look identical to one another. You have this, you know, downtrend resistance. You have a sideways MACD. Nothing too remarkable on the RSI. We do see Cardano is at the oversold level. It doesn't mean that these aren't great investments. These are actually cheap investments at the moment, or cheap trades to make at the moment based on previous price history and what is going on in terms of the volume, right? As soon as the volume starts pumping in, you expect the altcoin season to take off, and certainly the Cardanos, the Verges, the Ripples. Well, Ripple's a different story, but the Lumens, the Trons, whether you like these coins or not, I'm just giving a overall sense of what the market is expecting, how the market is expecting to move if and when we do start getting these you know, large amounts of volume, or at least increased amounts of volume pumping in. On Stellar Lumens, we do see a bit of movement. Yesterday, I did spot a few things that I liked. We saw that the MACD was converging and the RSI was starting to increase. I did send out a trade alert on Stellar Lumens. I don't mind sharing this here because it is, you know, a previous trade alert, but I did send out a trade alert on Stellar Lumens on Saturday just before the breakout. You'll see it here. So we are up about 15% as a result of that trade alert. If you want access to the trade alerts, hit the Patreon link in the description and you will get access to the daily trade alerts as well as the weekly report. In other news, let us do just a brief Bitcoin overview because that is obligatory. Obviously, we just saw that Bitcoin constitutes 42% of the market, so it's only right that we take a look at the behemoth that Bitcoin is at the moment. We see this previous downtrend resistance line. We can actually start a new trend, because that is where we're moving. This is the 1-day chart. You'll see this is the infamous inverted head and shoulders. You'll know that I refrained from drawing it myself, and now I use these neat triangles in order to draw this for good reason. You see that I have this magenta circled here. This is basically just confirming that we did break out of the downtrend resistance, and now we have 4 or 5 days of data to confirm that we are on a new trend. And again, this is the 1-day chart, and you do want to be looking at least a 1 day to confirm longer term trends, right? If we were looking at a 1 hour chart here, yeah, you could, and this was the trend breaking out of the resistance. That's cool if you're swing trading or day trading, but it doesn't really give you a sense of what the overall market is doing. You do want to look at 1 day and 1 week and even 1 month in some respects, especially with something that's been around as long as Bitcoin has. You see that the MACD had converged and is continuing to increase in trend. The RSI, and I've talked about this before, but the RSI with Bitcoin, and we do have a lot of data on this, is that every time the RSI has hit the oversold level, it has eventually climbed up to the overbought level, we're presuming that the price moves in the same pattern as the RSI. They go hand in hand in this scenario. So you'll see here that we were at the oversold level, and we haven't yet hit the overbought level. So we have the confirmation on the MACD. You see this nice chunk of volume here, because it was stagnant for a while, and we see this nice chunk of volume coming back. The inverted head and shoulders, the breakout over the downtrend resistance line. If I did the 50-day moving average, actually, let me just do that. You will most likely see that we are now trading above the 50-day moving average. Let me just change this real quick. Make it thicker. So you'll see that we are now trading well above the 50-day moving average. So that's another indicator. In terms of the next level that Bitcoin will hit at, I did say that 11,500 was the mark. And then there was a Fibonacci that we can also draw out right now. So, and again, because we are now in an uptrend, we go, you guys have asked this before, but you're saying, a lot of people, hit me up in the comments and say, oh, you're doing the Fibonacci upside down. Why are you doing it from the bottom up? Well, if you're measuring a downtrend, right? So if you're in this downtrend and we haven't hit this uptrend yet, then you want to go from the bottom up, because you're retracing the downtrend pattern. You want to see how low Bitcoin can retrace to, and what levels does it bounce off of. But we are now measuring the uptrend, right? So we are wanting to see the pattern of retracement that Bitcoin will follow based on previous price indications. So currently, this is where we're measuring the zero, right? Because this was the bottom of this recent downtrend before we started uptrending again. So here is the zero level. The 1 is the top of the the swing high in terms of price. So this was the recent highest level before this downtrend continued. So we are now retracing our steps back up. That is why we draw it in this manner when we are on an uptrend. So you'll see that the 0.382 level, we are right around that. Currently, we are at 11,611. And this 0.382 level is 11,788. So I would say that this is a very good and realistic target to shoot for, since we are already at 11,600, and we need another target in order to measure how Bitcoin tests against that target. So that is the target that I'm going to use, 11,788. Obviously, there are many different indicators that you can use, and resistance lines that you can use, and support lines that you can use. But it's my belief that we need a target to work with in order not to be trading blindly. Or else, why do we do all this? You could just buy Bitcoin and sell when you feel like it, and buy it when you feel like it. But for me, I like to use targets and market confirmations and precedents, right? We have all this history, so why wouldn't you use it? Anyway, long story short, or long story long. So 11,788 is the next resistance line that I want to see Bitcoin test and break above. And if we break above that, then we can start talking about the 13Ks. But currently, Bitcoin is in an uptrend. It's so funny to me when, you know, I've read so many Twitter posts and seen so many YouTube videos saying that March Bitcoin will be down to 3,000. And again, people who do, I'm sorry to say, but people who make videos like that are idiots. They're either really inexperienced with markets, or they're trying to sell you something or get views, I guess. But you end up looking like an idiot because your prediction is now printed online, and you know, obviously 99.9% of the time it's not going to come true. All right, in a bit of other news, we will just talk about some housekeeping items. Bitcoin private, not yet listed on an exchange. If you do go onto the Bitcoin private official site, there is an FAQ that says, where can I buy BTCP right now? And it lists all these exchanges. I'm assuming that these are the exchanges that have confirmed that they will hold Bitcoin private, because if you click on these right now, no, you cannot buy Bitcoin private right now. It takes you to Z Classic. So that is not Bitcoin private. So in terms of the snapshot and the fork, they've now taken place. The mainnet is launched. So the hard work is done, right? It's just now getting it released into the open market so that people can trade it. I don't have any word on when that is, and I haven't seen any reliable news source that does either. So in terms of the Binance burn, this is another question that I've been getting. So as you know, the Binance coin does periodic or quarterly burns of their coins. They buy them back, I guess, and then burn them. And what that does is increase the value. Excuse me, I apologize. What that does is increase the value, and obviously imminently, of the BNB coin. In long-term sense, it might not do much, but it definitely increases the value, at least the market value, in the short term. And we see this again with stocks. I mean, there's a concept called a stock buyback. So it's essentially mimicking the same mechanism that we do see in the stock market. Interesting article on Yahoo Finance yesterday saying that ICOs delivered at least 3.5 times more capital to blockchain startups than VC since 2017. I'm not surprised. Two reasons. One, we talked about the ICO process, very low barrier to entry, easy way to make money and scam. And VCs, you know, tend to be more conservative in what they invest in. So that is not surprising to me. A good tidbit from this article, though, you see, is, let's see, Bitcoin.com ran a survey that found out of 902 companies that sought to raise an ICO, 142 failed before closing funding, 276 failed after fundraising. It also found an additional 113 projects that it classified as semi-failed after their team has stopped communicating on social media. I wonder why that is. If the barrier to entry for ICOs is super low, you're going to expect, it's just human nature, right? Like, we're corrupt. We're a corrupt being. We're a corrupt species. We're out for ourselves. Or we're out to benefit ourselves. So of course you're going to see a lot of scams in something that's super unregulated. And then at a high level, almost 60% of last year's crowd sales are either confirmed failures or failures in the making. Now you know why I don't really invest in ICOs. I also did a video on that. I only really invest in ICOs where I know the development team or know something looks super promising, but I don't get in the habit of scattering my money around ICOs like on a roulette table. I'd much rather take my chances with a market that has a chart that I can track, that I can, you know, easily get in and out of positions and make my money, doing this way. So anyway, that's it for today's news. Check out CNBC's Fast Money tomorrow. Keep a watch out for an announcement regarding Ripple and Coinbase. Even if Ripple doesn't get added to Coinbase, some interesting news is surely to arise. Maybe they'll speak on the future of the future possibility of adopting Ripple on Coinbase. Who knows? Or maybe they're just talking about the state of the market in general. Either way, these are two juggernauts in the crypto space. So, you know, what they do say will probably have an effect on the market in some way. So we have yet to see what that is, but keep your eyes and ears open. Subscribe here, hit that notification bell, sign up to the Patreon for the trade alerts, leave a comment and a thumbs up if you got anything out of this video. Join the Discord, it's free. I love engaging with you guys on there and having discussions with you and meeting you all, at least virtually for now. So join the Discord. And yeah, subscribe, notification bell. Stay safe out there. Peace.